I've been there, standing in the middle of a room, looking around and feeling overwhelmed by the clutter. It's not just stuff, it's memories, decisions waiting to be made, and sometimes even guilt about letting things go. When you've lived a full life, as so many of us have, it's easy to accumulate more than we need. But here's the thing. I've discovered that decluttering doesn't have to be this big, stressful event. In fact, it can be surprisingly simple and even kind of fun. Hi there. I'm so glad you're here because today we're diving into something that can truly transform your home and how you feel in it. We're talking about simple decluttering hacks designed specifically with seniors in mind. If you've ever felt like your space is closing in on you or that it's just too much work to keep everything organized, don't worry. We'll tackle this together, one small step at a time. Decluttering isn't just about making your home look nice, though that's certainly a bonus. It's about creating a space that supports the way you want to live now. Maybe you're thinking about downsizing, or perhaps you just want to make your current home easier to manage. Either way, simplifying your surroundings can help reduce stress, save time, and even make daily tasks a little less daunting. In this video, we'll go over some practical, easy-to-follow tips that will help you declutter without feeling overwhelmed. And don't worry, we're not talking about throwing out everything you own or spending hours sorting through every drawer and closet. These are small, manageable steps you can take today to start seeing real results. Let's begin with the first habit, focusing on one small area at a time. When I first started decluttering my own home, I made the mistake of trying to tackle an entire room all at once. I got frustrated, tired, and honestly, I didn't get very far. That's when I realized something important. Breaking the task into smaller pieces makes it so much easier. Instead of saying, I'm going to clean out the whole living room, try starting with just one shelf, one drawer, or one corner of the room. For example, maybe you have a side table with stacks of magazines or papers piled up. That's a great place to start. Set a timer for 15 or 20 minutes and focus only on that spot. Ask yourself, do I really need these? Have I used them recently? Would someone else benefit more from having them? Sometimes, simply asking those questions can help you decide what stays and what goes. And here's a little trick I've picked up along the way. Instead of thinking about what you're losing, think about what you're gaining. By clearing off that side table, you might create space for a family photo, a cozy lamp, or even just a clear surface to set down your coffee cup. Every small change adds up, and before you know it, you'll start noticing how much lighter and brighter your space feels. Now that we've covered the importance of starting small, let's move on to another key idea, setting limits for your belongings. This is especially helpful if you find yourself holding on to things just in case or because they remind you of special moments. Don't get me wrong, sentimental items are precious, but keeping too many can weigh you down both physically and emotionally. Here's how I approach it. For every category of item, whether it's books, clothes, or keepsakes, I set a limit. For instance, maybe I decide to keep only 3 bins of holiday decorations or 5 photo albums of family memories. Once I hit that limit, anything new that comes in has to replace something old. It's a simple rule, but it helps prevent clutter from creeping back in. If setting limits feels challenging, try framing it as a way to honor your most cherished possessions. Think about it this way. When you have fewer items, each one stands out more. You'll appreciate them more because they're no longer buried under piles of other things. Plus, it's easier to care for and enjoy what you do have when you're not constantly tripping over excess. One of the biggest challenges I hear from people is figuring out what to do with items they no longer need but still have value. Maybe it's a piece of furniture that's been in the family for years, or a collection of books you know someone else would love. The good news is there are plenty of options beyond just tossing things in the trash. Let's talk about donating first. Many charities and local organizations are happy to accept gently used items, whether it's clothing, kitchenware, or furniture. Not only does this give your things a second life, but it also feels good knowing they're helping someone else. Another option is gifting. If you have grandchildren or younger family members who might appreciate certain items, consider passing them along. It's a wonderful way to share your story and connect with loved ones. Of course, not everything can be donated or gifted, and that's okay. For items that are worn out or broken, recycling programs can often handle things like electronics, textiles, or even old appliances. The goal is to find a solution that works for you without adding unnecessary stress. Now that we've covered starting small, setting limits, and finding new homes for your things, let's move on to another important aspect of decluttering: creating systems that make staying organized easier. After all, the last thing you want is to put in all this effort only to find yourself back in the same situation a few months later. Staying organized doesn't have to mean complicated storage solutions or expensive gadgets. Sometimes the simplest ideas are the most effective. For example, using clear bins or labeling boxes can make it easy to see what's inside without having to dig through everything. Or, if you're dealing with paperwork, a basic filing system can save you hours of searching for important documents. We'll dive deeper into these practical strategies in the next part of our conversation. I'll share some specific examples and tips that you can start using right away to keep your newly decluttered spaces tidy and functional. So stick around, because we're just getting started on this journey to a simpler, more peaceful home. If you've ever spent half an hour looking for your glasses only to find them sitting on top of your head, you know how frustrating it can be when things don't have a proper place. It's not just about misplacing items. It's about the mental clutter that comes with constantly wondering where things are or feeling like nothing is ever put away. But here's the good news. Creating simple systems for organizing your belongings can make a world of difference. Let me share something I learned the hard way. A few years ago, I decided to declutter my kitchen. I went through every drawer and cabinet, got rid of duplicates, and even donated some gadgets I hadn't used in years. At first, it felt amazing. Everything was neat and tidy. But within a couple of weeks, I noticed the chaos creeping back in. Why? Because I didn't take the time to create a system for keeping things organized. Without designated spots for spatulas, mixing bowls, or pantry staples, it was easy for everything to end up scattered again. That's why step 4 in our decluttering journey is all about setting up systems that work for you. The key here is simplicity. You don't need fancy bins or color-coded labels unless those things bring you joy. What you do need are clear, consistent rules for where things belong, and maybe a little reminder now and then to stick to them. Take everyday essentials, for example. Think about the items you use most often: keys, mail, chargers, reading glasses, and give them a permanent home near where you'll need them. For keys, a hook by the door works wonders. For mail, a small basket or tray on the counter keeps bills and letters from piling up everywhere. And for chargers, a charging station tucked away in a convenient spot ensures they're always easy to find. These little adjustments might seem minor, but trust me, they add up. Now, let's talk about vertical space. If you're like many seniors, you may have more stuff than storage room, especially if you're living in a smaller home or apartment. That's where shelves, hooks, and over-the-door organizers come in handy. Instead of cramming everything into drawers or cabinets, think about how you can use walls and doors to maximize your space. For instance, I recently helped a friend organize her pantry, and we added a few inexpensive shelf risers to double the available surface area. Suddenly, she had room for all her spices, snacks, and canned goods without anything getting lost in the shuffle. Another idea is using hooks inside closets or on walls to hang bags, scarves, or even gardening tools. Not only does this free up floor space, but it also makes frequently used items easier to grab when you need them. One thing I want to emphasize is that these systems should reflect your habits and needs, not someone else's idea of what organized looks like. If you love having a cozy stack of blankets on the couch, there's no rule saying they have to be folded perfectly or stored out of sight. On the other hand, if piles of magazines stress you out, finding a magazine rack or file box might be exactly what you need to feel more at ease. Another practical tip is to embrace multitasking furniture. Ottomans with hidden storage, beds with drawers underneath, or side tables with built-in compartments are great ways to keep clutter out of sight while still keeping essentials close by. And if buying new furniture isn't in the cards, don't worry. You can achieve similar results by repurposing what you already own. An old chest or trunk can become a coffee table with storage, and a rolling cart can serve as a portable craft station or bedside organizer. Of course, staying organized isn't just about physical spaces, it's also about managing digital clutter. If you're someone who uses a computer, tablet, or smartphone regularly, you might have noticed how overwhelming it can be to sift through endless files, emails, or photos. Just like with physical items, having a system for your digital life can save you time and energy. Start by creating folders for different types of documents, things like bills, recipes, or family photos. Then, set aside a few minutes each week to sort new files into their proper places. For emails, consider unsubscribing from newsletters or promotions you no longer read. Most email services also allow you to archive older messages, which keeps your inbox cleaner without permanently deleting anything important. And let's not forget about photos. Many of us have hundreds, if not thousands, of pictures saved on our devices. Instead of letting them pile up, try transferring them to an external hard drive or cloud service. Better yet, print out your favorites and display them in frames or albums. There's something magical about holding a physical photo in your hands, and it's a great way to preserve memories while freeing up space on your device. As you build these systems, remember that perfection isn't the goal. Life happens, and sometimes things will get messy again. That's okay. The beauty of having a solid organizational foundation is that it's much easier to bounce back when life gets busy. Plus, maintaining these systems doesn't have to take hours. Even 5 or 10 minutes a day can help keep everything running smoothly. Speaking of maintenance, let's talk about another powerful tool, the one in, one out rule. This is especially helpful if you're trying to prevent clutter from building up again after all your hard work. Here's how it works. Whenever you bring something new into your home, a book, a piece of clothing, a kitchen gadget, you commit to removing something old. It's a simple concept, but it forces you to think twice before adding to your collection. I'll admit, this rule took some getting used to for me. At first, I found myself resisting the idea of letting go of perfectly good items. But over time, I realized that sticking to this habit helped me stay mindful about what I truly needed and loved. And honestly, it made shopping feel less overwhelming because I wasn't constantly bringing home things I didn't have space for. Now that we've covered creating systems, managing digital clutter, and adopting the one in, one out rule, let's move on to our final point, enlisting help and making decluttering a social activity. Decluttering doesn't have to be a solo endeavor. In fact, involving family, friends, or even professionals can make the process faster, easier, and even enjoyable. Imagine inviting your grandkids over for a weekend project where they help you sort through old photos or books. Or picture yourself hosting a decluttering party with a close friend, where you tackle each other's spaces together and celebrate your progress with tea and snacks afterward. These moments not only lighten the load, but also strengthen connections with the people who matter most. In the next part, we'll explore how to involve others in your decluttering journey, and why doing so can turn what might feel like a chore into a meaningful experience. So stay tuned. We're almost there. Have you ever noticed how much easier and more enjoyable a task becomes when you're doing it with someone else? Whether it's cooking dinner, tackling a home repair, or even folding laundry, having company can turn something mundane into a shared experience. The same goes for decluttering. If the thought of sorting through years of belongings feels overwhelming, enlisting help might just be the secret ingredient to making it feel manageable and maybe even fun. Let me tell you about my friend Margaret. She had been talking about decluttering her attic for months, but kept putting it off because the idea of going through decades of family heirlooms and holiday decorations felt too big to handle alone. One day, she decided to ask her daughter and granddaughter to join her. They spent an entire Saturday up in the attic, laughing over old photos, reminiscing about holidays past, and deciding together what to keep, donate, or pass along to other family members. By the end of the day, not only was the attic significantly lighter, but they'd also created memories that none of them would soon forget. That's the beauty of involving others in your decluttering journey. It transforms what could be a solitary chore into a bonding experience. And let's face it, sometimes we all need a little extra motivation or support to get started. Family members, friends, or even neighbors can offer fresh perspectives, physical assistance, and emotional encouragement. Plus, working alongside someone else often makes time fly by faster than you'd expect. If you're thinking about asking for help, start by considering who might enjoy being part of the process. For example, grandchildren might love helping you sort through old toys, books, or games. They'll see it as playtime rather than work. Or perhaps a close friend has mentioned wanting to organize their own space. Suggest teaming up for a decluttering swap, where you each spend a few hours at the other person's house before switching roles. Not only will you both benefit from the effort, but you'll also have built-in accountability to keep the momentum going. Of course, not everyone has family or friends nearby who are available to pitch in, and that's perfectly okay. There are plenty of professional organizers and senior-focused services designed to help with exactly this kind of project. These experts can guide you through the process, offering practical advice while respecting your preferences and pace. Some specialize in working with seniors, so they understand the unique challenges and emotions that come with letting go of long-held possessions. Even if hiring a professional isn't in your budget, there are still ways to bring people into the fold. Local community groups, churches, or senior centers often host workshops or events focused on simplifying life after retirement. Attending one of these gatherings can provide inspiration, tips, and connections to others who are navigating similar challenges. Sometimes, simply knowing you're not alone in this journey is enough to give you the boost you need to take the first step. Now, I know what some of you might be thinking, but what if I don't want anyone else touching my things? That's completely valid. Decluttering is deeply personal, and not every item is something you'll feel comfortable sharing with others. In those cases, you can still involve people in less hands-on ways. Ask a trusted friend to sit with you while you sort through keepsakes, offering moral support without physically handling anything. Or invite someone over to celebrate your progress once you've finished a particularly challenging area, like the garage or spare bedroom. Celebrating small wins keeps you motivated and reminds you why you started this process in the first place. Another way to make decluttering a social activity is to think creatively about how you share or repurpose items. Instead of quietly packing things away to donate, consider hosting a memory sharing event. Invite a few close friends or family members over and lay out items you're ready to part with. But before they leave with anything, take a moment to share the stories behind them. Maybe it's a quilt your grandmother made, a set of dishes you used during special dinners, or a piece of jewelry passed down through generations. Telling these stories not only honors the object's history, but also helps ensure its meaning lives on, even if the item itself moves on to a new home. And speaking of passing things along, here's another idea. Turn decluttering into a gift-giving opportunity. Many seniors find joy in gifting meaningful items to loved ones during their lifetime, rather than leaving everything behind in a will. Perhaps your granddaughter has always admired your collection of vintage teacups, or your nephew has expressed interest in your woodworking tools. Giving these items now allows you to witness the happiness they bring firsthand, and it gives you peace of mind knowing they're going to good homes. Finally, remember that involving others doesn't mean you have to give up control. You're still the decision maker in this process, and it's important to communicate your boundaries clearly. If there are certain areas or items you prefer to handle alone, let your helpers know up front. Likewise, if you're feeling unsure about whether to keep something, don't hesitate to ask for input, but ultimately, trust your instincts. After all, this is your space, and the goal is to create an environment that feels right for you. As we wrap up this section, I want to emphasize that decluttering isn't just about clearing out physical stuff. It's also about making room for new experiences, relationships, and opportunities. When you simplify your surroundings, you open yourself up to spending more time on the things that truly matter, whether that's pursuing hobbies, connecting with loved ones, or simply enjoying quiet moments in a peaceful home. In our final part, we'll talk about how to maintain the progress you've made and continue embracing simplicity moving forward. We'll also touch on how to approach decluttering with kindness toward yourself. Because let's face it, change takes time, and it's okay to go at your own pace. So stick with me for just a little longer, because we're almost there. Together, we'll finish strong and leave you feeling empowered to create a home that supports the life you want to live. Decluttering is a journey, not a destination. It's easy to get caught up in the excitement of clearing out spaces and feel like you've crossed the finish line once everything looks tidy. But the truth is, staying organized requires ongoing effort. The good news? With the right mindset and habits, maintaining your newly simplified home can become second nature. And perhaps most importantly, it doesn't have to feel like a chore. Let me share something I've learned over the years. Progress isn't about perfection. There will be days when life gets busy and things pile up again, or maybe you realize there's still one closet you haven't touched yet. That's okay. What matters is how you respond to those moments. Instead of beating yourself up for slipping back into old patterns, approach it with kindness and curiosity. Ask yourself, what can I do today to make this space feel better? Even small actions, like putting away 3 items or tackling one shelf, can help you regain a sense of control. One way to stay on track is by setting aside regular maintenance sessions. These don't have to be long. Just 10 or 15 minutes a day can make a big difference. Think of it as giving your home a little TLC, the same way you might take time to water plants or straighten picture frames. For example, every evening before bed, I like to do what I call a 10-minute reset. I walk through my living areas, picking up stray items, folding blankets, or wiping down surfaces. By the time I'm done, my space feels calm and ready for the next day. If daily maintenance feels overwhelming, try scheduling a weekly check-in instead. Choose a specific day and time that works for you, maybe Sunday afternoons while sipping tea, and use that block to tackle any clutter that's crept back in during the week. This could mean sorting through mail, organizing a junk drawer, or tidying up a corner of a room. Over time, these consistent efforts will prevent clutter from building up and keep your home feeling peaceful. Another key part of maintaining your decluttered space is learning to let go of guilt. Many seniors tell me they struggle with parting ways with items because they feel bad about wasting money, disappointing family members, or losing sentimental connections. But here's the thing, holding on to things out of obligation only weighs you down. Every item in your home should serve a purpose or bring you joy. If it doesn't, it's okay to release it. I'll never forget helping my neighbor Ruth sort through her craft supplies. She had boxes upon boxes of yarn and fabric scraps and unfinished projects she'd collected over decades. As we went through them, she admitted she felt guilty getting rid of them. She admitted she felt guilty getting rid of anything because she'd spent so much money on those materials. But then she paused and said something profound. You know, keeping all this stuff isn't honoring the creativity I once had. It's just taking up space for the person I am now. Together, we decided to donate most of it to a local community center where kids could use the supplies for art classes. Watching her face light up, knowing her stash would inspire others, was such a powerful reminder that letting go can be an act of generosity, not loss. This brings us to another important point, reframing decluttering as self-care. When you simplify your surroundings, you're not just making your home easier to manage, you're creating space for peace, relaxation, and joy. Imagine walking into a room that feels open and uncluttered. How does that affect your mood? For many people, it reduces stress and makes daily tasks feel less daunting. Decluttering isn't selfish, it's a gift you give to yourself so you can live more fully in the present moment. As you continue this process, remember to celebrate your wins, big and small. Did you finally clear off that crowded side table? Treat yourself to a bouquet of flowers to brighten the space. Finished organizing your closet? Take a moment to admire your handiwork and appreciate the effort you put in. Celebrating milestones keeps you motivated and reminds you why you started this journey in the first place. And if you ever feel stuck or discouraged, Reach back out to the people who've supported you along the way. Whether it's a friend, family member, or professional organizer, having someone cheer you on can make all the difference. Sometimes, just talking through your challenges can spark new ideas or solutions you hadn't thought of before. Finally, let's talk about embracing change, not just in your home, but in your mindset. Decluttering often prompts us to reflect on our lives and priorities. Maybe you've realized you want to spend less time managing possessions and more time pursuing passions. Or perhaps you've discovered that simplifying your environment has made room for deeper connections with loved ones. Whatever insights you've gained, honor them. Life is constantly evolving, and your home should evolve with it. As we wrap up this conversation, I want to leave you with one last thought. You deserve a home that reflects the beautiful, that meaningful life you've built. Decluttering isn't about erasing memories or starting over. It's about curating a space that supports who you are today and who you want to be tomorrow. So take a deep breath, trust the process, and know that each step you take brings you closer to a simpler, happier life. Thank you for joining me on this journey. I hope you leave this video feeling inspired and equipped to tackle decluttering in a way that works for you. Remember, you don't have to do it all at once. Just start small, stay patient, and be kind to yourself along the way.